Welcome to Real Estate Success Partner. We're your hosts, Devin Dubuc,
David Wynn,
and we're here to talk about how to have great success in every market. Hey, today, Dave, brother, you always bring the best people. Who'd you bring out here today?
man, I got a one-of-a-kind, the beautiful and phenomenal Morgan Sharp from Arkansas. I'll let you tell. She'll tell you what part of Arkansas she covers, but she's a phenomenal realtor. Morgan, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you guys. I appreciate y'all taking time and having me on your show. This is exciting.
We're excited to have you here. So let's get that info. So what part of Arkansas? What's your market? Where do you serve?
Mountain Home.
I am in the northern central part of Arkansas. So think like 3 hours north of Little Rock, just below the Missouri border, 3 hours from the east border, 3 hours from the west border. We're like smack dab in the very center north part.
The heart of Arkansas.
Calls it the Ozark. Yeah, exactly. It's really the heart of the Ozark Mountains. It's a gorgeous place, typically known as a retirement community, but we have a lot of people who are figuring out that, hey, I can work remotely, and what better place to work than somewhere that has 2 lakes, 3 rivers, and tons of natural outdoorsy, and cost of living's low compared to the rest of the country.
It is, and it is just one of the most beautiful places in the United States or on the planet. Let's just get real, right? It's just absolutely gorgeous there. So, well, good stuff. So are you from Arkansas originally? Is this where you got your start?
It is. I am born and raised in Mountain Home, Arkansas. Homie, it's very unique. There's not a lot of us. People, it's funny, I run into people and they're like, no, really, where are you from? Like California, Wisconsin, Illinois. I'm like, no, I'm literally from here. I grew up, I'm a Mountain Home bomber, graduated in 2001. We'll show my age a little bit there. And, I left here thinking, why would you ever want to live here? Went to the University of Arkansas in Fayetteville. I got my industrial engineering degree. And I spent 15 years traveling the country as an oil and gas hydraulic fracturing engineer. And, the market changed back in 17, and I ultimately lost my job. And I had a lot of people pushing me like, you need to be a real estate agent. I was like, I don't want to be a real estate agent. That's not a career. That's a job. Like you come and they go. And like, I just didn't want to be that person. And they pushed, and it just kind of really, God kept leading me that direction. Yeah. And here I am, really. And so I was like, you know what, I can do this. And I got into it in Colorado. I sold a couple of houses. We had the opportunity to move home. So my husband and my youngest moved back to Arkansas. I actually live in my grandparents' farmhouse that they built in the 70s.
That's awesome.
On land that they bought in the 40s. Like it's awesome. It's amazing every day that I get to walk out and live on the land that I was raised on, that my mom was raised on. It's an amazing benefit. I'm so proud that I get to do that.
That's awesome.
But I want to be different than some of those normal real estate agents. The people who say, I don't like real estate agents, I'm not them. And that's what I'm trying to achieve and make this a career. Like there's a lot of math behind it. There's a lot of science. There's a lot of emotion. And I want to weed through that for those people.
Well, you say I want to.
I think you've made a career.
You've already done it. You've already done it. And look, we know, if you're never done, right? You're never done. But at the end of the day, you've already done that. You've already created amazing success. You've already shown the industry, that you can change the way that people do business, and you can truly trust the professional behind that. And we had the chance to talk, earlier on in the pre-podcast, and I know you and Dave have talked several times, but I love, your passion for doing things different and better. And I think that's one of the things that makes you the great agent that you are today, and why you've turned this into a career, and you're having such great success with it. So thank you so much for sharing that story. And man, wow, what a cool opportunity to go back and live on, your ancestors' land, where you grew up, and do the thing, that you now love to do, and help families, out there be led to their home, their most precious possession, So you're doing amazing things. So thank you so much for sharing that story. I love it.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
So let's talk a little bit. So, wow. So you've traveled the country. You've lived in other parts of the U.S. and you decided, man, this is it, right? Mountain home is home. And let's talk a little bit about that community. I know you said, rivers and lakes and, you've painted a pretty picture, right? But let's talk a little bit more about that, right? If I'm interested in, either purchasing a home there or I'm from out of state and I'm thinking, man, maybe it is time to relocate. What is that community like, right? What does it look like out there?
It's funny because, our sidewalks on some aspects still roll up in the evenings. We do have a little bit of a nightlife. We have this amazing mayor who's doing a lot of good things in our community to help bring, sustainable life to some people who are looking for that. So some breweries, we have a venue, and actually most of the little towns out here do it. It's called either Music on the Square or like a Saturday night music thing. And ultimately they close down the square of these small towns and they have local and regional bands come out, and you bring your lawn chair and your ice chest and you sit back and you enjoy a concert. And you see people you see people you don't know, and like literally everybody's welcome. There's so much fun, every type of music. It was just little things like that. We have Mountain Home does a jam festival in the fall, and it's like a strawberry jam, that kind of jam. But then they also have a music jam portion of it, and people roll out for those little things. And our county fair, you don't see a lot of county fairs in a lot of parts of the country. And we have an amazing one, great FFA program and all of our schools over here that compete in that. And it's just really down to earth, good, wholesome people who really look out. And the thing I like about it is I explain to people, they're like, oh, I don't want to live in a bad neighborhood. And it's like, well, you need to go walk the neighborhoods. You need to go drive the neighborhoods. We don't really have a bad area in this area that I wouldn't personally live in, that I personally wouldn't have my daughter go hang out in. It's people, they're there willing to help if you want them. And if not, they just wave at you and they keep on trucking down the road, and you'll see them tomorrow morning when they head out for work. It's neat. It's a neat community. I've lived in the biggest cities in the country, and I've lived in some small areas in the country as well. And for me, this just feels right.
I see things in pictures a lot of the times. And, when you just described that to me, have you ever seen the movie Big Fish?
Yes.
Yeah. What I'm thinking of is, when he visits that mysterious town that's just out in the middle of nowhere and nobody even knew it existed. And, everybody's out there with the bare feet, just, enjoying life together, and everybody's happy and dancing. And, that's what I see there when you paint that picture, and that's just amazing. I think a lot of folks take for granted that there's places like that out there in the U.S. today, right? And the fact that you guys have that little slice of heaven, right there, that not everybody knows about it. Let me tell you something. I want to take a trip. I'm definitely going to have to pass through it. And I've been to Arkansas several times. We used to vacation out there in the summertime. I had never been there, but it looks like the wife and kids and I might be making a trip this year. That's absolutely sounds like a slice of heaven.
Well, let's talk a little bit about Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, it's just, there's a little bit for everybody. One of the other big things that I really like about this area, not just Mountain Home, but all of our little communities, is at one point, we were kind of getting into, like, we got a Chili's and we got a Colton's, and of course we have all the chain fast food restaurants, and we were kind of veering that direction towards more corporate restaurants. Yeah. And then something changed, and all of our little local restaurants are all mom and pops, but we have people who are certified chefs. They're amazing. They get amazing ingredients, mostly locally sourced through our butchers or our farmers markets. And it's nice because all of our money, it stays local. We just feed back into our community. And really, if you need something, they're there to help, to volunteer or to donate for the high schools or the college or, the food banks or whatever our community needs. These are the people that are doing it for us.
Well, let's talk about that. It's the area you're in right now is notorious for second homes, lake houses, investment properties and stuff. But now, since COVID, it's becoming a primary house for a lot of people migrating there. I'm sure you've seen it more than we have. But I actually have a good friend that's actually building a house into the Ozark Mountains, and that's going to be the retirement community. And he's a financial guy that's traveled all around the world, and that's where they're building their forever home. A lot of people are migrating to that area. Have you seen a transition over the course of the last 4 years since COVID to people moving there? A lot more people?
Yes, we definitely have an uptick. And unlike a lot of markets, some of the bigger markets that are very cyclical, so you have the high highs and the low lows, we're very, very linear here. So, it's nice because we do still have that, just that churn of people is that, people get to retirement age or close to retirement age. They buy a house, they move down here. Maybe their kids are graduated in college, maybe newlyweds. They don't have the grandbabies yet. And then after a few years, they're like, oh, we need to move back to where the grandbabies are, or just move back closer to the kids so they can help take care of us. So we always have a natural just repeat of, houses always coming back on the market for that fact. But now we're starting to see a little bit younger of a buyer because they are able to work remotely or travel back and forth to, Houston, Texas, or Denver, Colorado, so they can have their vacation home, their final retirement home sooner in their career because they can work remotely.
I love that. Well, you touched on something earlier, and you talked about this in our pre-podcast, and I'd love to hear your take on your business model. You mentioned, I wanted to do things differently, right? Let's talk about that a little bit, right? What people want to know, and a lot of people come to this podcast to both borrowers and agents, who are looking for, hey, I want to work with a great agent, and how do I trust them, right? Or agents say, hey, I want to get better at my business. How do I get better? Let's talk about that, right? What do you do specifically, that you feel really sets you apart from, what some people may think the realtor is?
So one thing that I really like, and one reason I joined and purchased a RE/MAX franchise, is because RE/MAX has this philosophy that everybody wins. And I really believe that. So if the buyer or the seller wins, whether that is the top dollar or, a better deal for the buyer, then the realtor wins. And if the realtor wins, then RE/MAX is winning. And that's ultimately what we're trying to achieve, is what can we do to make our clients make this transition the best possible. And actually they say, and I honestly believe this, at the end of the day, if you can look back at your deal and go, man, I don't really remember any of that part of it, that I did my job. I was behind you. I was talking to the bank. I was talking to the title company, the appraiser, whatever the case may be, moving this deal along with very little input from you to make it very smooth for you. That's what we're trying to do. Yeah. Is you tell me what you want and I figure out how to make it get there. And have some of those tough conversations. Like, look, you got foundation issues. You need to come down on your price. We're willing to work with you as a buyer, but you need to help us help you so we can get this deal closed. And those are part of it. It's not show up at 10 o'clock and go home at 2 and talk about for an hour what we're going to do for lunch. It's every day, all day. Last night I thought I was going to be home by 5 o'clock, time for dinner. And about 7:30 I rolled in and still had 2 more offers to write and to finish a listing. It's work. It's a job. Yeah. And I think to be successful in any career, that's how you got to treat it. And it's what's best for the end user, who is our buyers and our sellers.
Yeah. Well, we would completely agree with you, and the reason I say that, is because Dave and I, we start our day very similarly. The first thing we do every morning, 7:30 like clockwork. I said the first thing I do is get my kids up and take them to school. But 7:30 in the morning, we're on Breakfast Club, which is a bunch of like-hearted professionals from across the United States. And we're helping educate each other, train each other, and make each other better to make an impact and a difference in this industry. And from that point, we take a quick break to kind of touch through emails and get caught up on a couple things. And then from 9 to 11, that's sacred time for us. We're literally on call time. We call it Call Stars. And for 2 hours from 9 to 11 every day, we're making our outreach calls. And we do it together because we know together we're better. We can help each other, hold each other accountable, and become successful. And we think it's such an important part of the day, And, throughout the week, we've got little touch base meetings at 2 o'clock. We call Sales Club, where we sit in and we talk about the things that we can be doing in our business to help our people become more successful. And you talk about the day never ending. Let me tell you something. We know exactly what that means. You said 10 to 2. Maybe if 2 is 2 a.m., right? Not 2 in the afternoon. Right. Because if you're successful in this business, you've got to make yourself available to your consumers and to your agents and your partners, because we are in an industry that never sleeps. They say Vegas never sleeps. Real estate never sleeps, right? And so I love that you've taken that position, because you're right. A lot of people that have been in this industry, they don't take it that seriously. And it is a career if you make it one, right?
Right. No, it really is. And, at this point, I opened my own business in February, started RE/MAX Twin Lakes, and it's really kind of taken it to the next level. I turned 40 last year, so really figuring out, what's my end goal. for the rest of my career. And for me, that was owning my own business and being that broker that these new agents and these experienced agents need. If we have an offer coming in, it needs to be signed, it needs to be reviewed. That's how Arkansas has it set up. So I need to be available to my employees, to my agents, to know that if something's coming down the line, they don't need to be the holding piece. I don't need to be the piece that's holding it up. I don't need to cost our buyers money or lose a house that they really love because we didn't get an offer in time, or we didn't counter back in time, or whatever the case may be. I don't want to be that for my agents, and I don't want to be that for my end users who are our clients.
Well, I just want to say congratulations on opening your business. That's such a huge accomplishment, and at a very young age too, to do that. A lot of people never achieve the dream of owning their own business, and you've done that, and it's because of your hard work and your perseverance. So congratulations. If you haven't been told before, you're doing amazing things out there, and you should be very proud of your accomplishments, and you should be very proud of the fact that you've taken this stance in the industry. We need more great people like you. So thank you for being you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I didn't know about your background about being an industrial engineer, but let's talk about that a little bit. I'm kind of taken back a little bit because now I know what makes you special. Because industrial engineer is either left brain or right brain, but it's definitely not real estate. So you're using both sides, left brain and right brain, and that's kind of cool. I've never met someone in real estate with both sides of the brain working like that. The way you're so methodical about going in and saying, "Hey, I need this, I need that." That's that industrial engineer brain coming in. But then you have the real estate side of making friends and whatever. I don't know if I'm the first person to bring this up or not, but that's pretty unusual for people to have both sides. To we're either dominant on one side or dominant the other. But it looks like you mastered both sides of the brain. Talk about that.
I try. Thank you. So the engineering piece in me, it is a very methodical, math-based. You drill it down to the square footage. Like how do you? And then you work down and then you work back up to the prices or the justification of something. And part of my industrial engineering, that's when I left oil and gas. I went to manufacturing, hydraulic hose manufacturing, and I was this continuous improvement engineer. And everything falls in 4 buckets, and it's that mentality. So it's either necessary and value added. It's necessary but not value added. It's value added but not necessary. There's not a lot of those. And then there's not value added and not necessary. So you look at your day too, and you're like, what does this fall into that bucket? Yeah. And if it's value added and necessary, you do that every single day. So that's returning the emails, following up with your leads. And if it's on the cross quadrant from that, which is going to be your not value added and not necessary, cut it out of your day, cut it out of your budget. It's wasting time and it's wasting effort. And that's really the approach that I take. It is very engineering. It's kind of very nerdy at the same time, and it's different, but it ultimately helps my business and it helps my clients. But I have one guy. It's a guy. I have his house listed. A couple, and he's an engineer with me, and his wife just shakes her head at us because we start talking. He's like, "Y'all are just so nerdy," and that's like, we are. But at the end of the day, it's math, right? It's money, and money is a number. And take the emotion out of it, which is hard when you have some of these nicer homes, and you put so much, even the smaller homes, you put everything you have into your house. That is your home, your prize. You take that emotion out, which is what I'm trying to do for you, and just whittle it down to the dollars and cents of it. And how do we move you on to your next chapter of your life or get you into this new one?
You mentioned continuous improvement, and I love that you mentioned that because that's actually our 5th core value here at our office. Our 5th core value is Kaizen, which is, a business practice of always looking for continuous improvement to avoid redundancies in your business for a constant drive of getting better. Right. And I think that's an important one. And, you're using your engineer background, right, to take that process into your business, which leads me to a question, do you have a mission statement and a set of core values that you've established for your business?
I do. I have developed that. It's not completely fine-tuned, but I have started working on figuring out for me, it's 10 efforts of what is the most important to my business. And ultimately, what we want to do. And if you give me a second, I can actually pull it up.
I would love for you to share that with us, because we always like to share ours.
Okay.
And, we always go back to that like-minded, like-hearted thing, right? Great people, successful people, we do a lot of things the same way, even if we don't realize it, and coming up with your values and what you stand for. We think it's such an important part of being in this industry, because it tells people who you are, right? And why you're doing the things that you're doing. Hey guys, it's Devin.
And David.
We're your real estate success partners. Hey, if you're enjoying these podcasts and want us to keep bringing back this content, we truly appreciate you following us. But if you could go below and subscribe or make some comments, we'd truly appreciate it. And we'll keep bringing back great content in 2024.
So my mission statement is pretty cut and dry. It's elevate from good to great. We are the difference. And that's really thinking about it from the perspective of acquiring more agents, and how can we be better? How can I be better for them? And how can they be better for our clients?
Yeah.
And then my vision is, together we strive to push beyond mediocrity and reach new heights of excellence. Our collective efforts and individual ambitions blend seamlessly to create a synergy that propels us all towards greatness. With each step we take, each decision we make, we embody the spirit and progress of innovation. We make the difference every day. We are not just spectators in this journey. We are the architects of our own success, the pioneers of our own destiny. Let us continue to inspire, challenge, and support one another as we redefine what is possible and showcase the world the true power of unity and determination.
That's awesome.
It sounds like a motivational I did just last week. I've got a motivational channel called Mind Shook, and you literally spoke some words that I said in that motivational just a week ago. So it's so funny to hear that, because again, it goes back to being like-hearted. I love that. I absolutely love that. Let me ask you this. We've found a lot of the times there's a why behind that too, right? The why as to why you are so strong in your visions and your beliefs. Is there something, about your past childhood or when you grew up that just put those type of values into you? What is it that makes you take that stance?
I tell people all the time that my brother and I have one brother, he's 5 years younger than me, and that we had the best childhood that anybody could ever have. Like, nobody can touch our childhood. It was perfect. And I think part of it is because of where we live, because he lives on the farm as well. He lives next door across the field from me with his family.
That's awesome.
And it's just understanding that. And, I've been married, I've been divorced, I'm remarried. I've been through a lot. I've moved all over the country. And as you kind of go through life, you either become hard or you learn how to accept that and give people grace.
Yeah.
And I've really tried to take that latter piece and not be that cold, hard person. There's enough business for all of us. Everybody is going through something, whether or not you know it or not. So we need to show everybody grace, integrity, and knowledge. And at the end of the day, I think this kind of leads into my core values, my 10 core values that I've picked as well. Buying and selling is really stressful.
Yeah.
We don't know, is it because your mom and dad had passed away and you're selling your childhood home? Is it because you're having to downsize? Are you upsizing? We don't know why people's motives behind anything. And sometimes we find out and sometimes we never do.
Yeah.
But we have to give them that grace and understanding. And I think I learned a lot of that when I was going through my first divorce with my daughter's dad. And people don't like to share a lot of their reasons of what they're dealing with, but just know that at any time, all of us are dealing with something. And I really feel that there's enough business out there for us to share among all the different agents in the area, whether that's in your own office or another office across town. We have to work together to be the best for our community.
That's right. That's right. That's part of our mission statement is about improving the communities, right, through the work that we do. So you catch me lying if I try to rattle it off without it in front of me, but that's definitely part of our mission statement. So I love that. What are the core values? You got another one of ours because you said integrity, and that's actually another one of our core values, but I'd love to hear your 10.
So they're accountability, balance, community, efficiency, ethics, fun, grace, growth, integrity, and knowledge. I think one of the reasons agents get burned out in this industry is because we have no balance.
Yeah.
And we don't stop and take time to have fun, whether that's with your family, with your friends. Maybe you're an introvert and you like to recharge by reading and pouring into yourself. Community is huge, I think, for most people in this area, but it's a very big part of me. But maybe that's because like my mom graduated here, my grandparents graduated from here, like roots run really deep in this area for my family. Accountability, just for the fact that if you're not holding yourself accountable, why would anybody want to come work for you? Why would anybody trust you with their money, whether it's $20,000 to buy a piece of land or $2 million to buy a river home?
Yeah.
And so these are the things that have kind of come up, and at the end of the day, just speak loudly to me.
I love it.
I love it. I love your business. So, Morgan, we know your production report. So, are you just going to be a producing broker, or what's the end goal here? How many agents?
Long term. Today, I have one agent.
Okay.
She joined me last week, and I'm talking to a couple others. Long term, no, I don't really want to be a producing broker. I think the most successful companies, their broker is available, and if I'm a producing broker that's out there in the trenches from morning to night, how can you get a hold of me? How can I help you? You can't grow your business. So definitely a few different models on how I structuring some of my pay and some of my fees that I'm doing. That's a little bit different than some of the other firms here in town, I believe. I think they're really going to benefit me and my agents. So today I am a managing and producing broker because I have to be. But I mean, long term, at some point, I don't want to be 70 years old, still trudging through 15 acres of land in the heart of July, picking ticks off as I walk. I want to be there to help these other newer agents come on and be successful. Because I think the statistic is most agents, if you fall out, it's going to be within the first year to first 3 years. So how do we reduce that? It's easy to get your license. You take some classes, you take a test, you pay the state some money, bam, you're a realtor. How do we maintain you to become a realtor, to have that grace, to have those ethics and be accountable you can be successful at this job? Because if they're not paying their bills, they're going to have to go get another job, and they're going to have to put this potential dream and passion to the wayside. That's
right. Well, what we say is you sweep the parking lot until you earn the right to hire somebody to do it for you. Right. And, when you're just starting out a business, and I heard you say that, I just opened my brokerage in February. So, you're just getting started. And I can already tell with the values that you set in place and, your mission, to achieve greatness, you're going to build something incredibly amazing. And the people that are going to be here behind you and learning from you and mentoring underneath you, they're going to be blessed to have you there as their mentor. There's a lot of people out there that don't lead with passion. I can feel the passion when you communicate about what you want to do with your business. And that's how great things start. So, there's definitely going to have to be a repeat to this podcast, because we're going to have to reach back out in a year and then maybe a 5-year repeat, right? And talk about what's going on in your business, because I can already see the growth happening, and it's happening because of what's going on in your mind, right? You're creating that. And the accountability, right? And the daily disciplines, that's how you get there. That's it. You're 100% correct. So, man, great stuff. Great. I knew when you said that in the pre-podcast, we were going to get some really good content today. And I had no idea we were going to go here, but man, I'm super impressed.
I'm just glad I can say I knew Morgan when,
Yeah.
a year or two. I knew Morgan when. We grew with her. We developed with her and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's funny. I'm saying we caught her at her infancy, but she's not in her infancy. I mean,
she's already a great agent.
Phenomenal numbers as an agent already. So, how do you get your leads, Morgan? That's the one question that all the realtors out there ask. How does it come out?
That's $1 million question. I think ultimately the way to get your leads is to pick up the phone. Whether that's you're paying for some third party like Zillow or Realtor, or you're just advertising through your website or Facebook. But ultimately, if the phone rings, if you get a text message, if you get an email and you don't answer the phone, it's really hard for you to help that person out. And, by all means, set your boundaries, have that balance of life, but that you need to circle back at some point and touch base, right? So I definitely have set times throughout my day and my week that are very important to me.
Yeah.
I have a 15-year-old. She's finishing up her freshman year of high school. So I don't know how many times I've had conversations with her where, we're talking and I have to pick up the phone and I can just kind of see her roll her eyes at me sometimes. But then there's other times that I know it's like, they can roll to voicemail. I can call them back. I can text them back. And it comes down to that balance piece, but it's hard to make a sale if you don't answer your phone.
It's funny you say that, Morgan, because we had another agent on here and said, hit number one, and he's a top producing agent also.
Yep.
Pick up the phone. I've called you several times, and guess what? I know how busy you are. You've picked up every single time. You would think the busier you are, the less likely you're going to pick up the phone.
Yeah.
What I find is the truly best people out there pick up the phone every time.
That's right.
Because it's important. It's I say it all the time. We just discussed this. It's speed to lead.
Yeah.
75% of the if you can catch them as the first realtor or the first mortgage guy or the first whatever business you're in, shop, whatever, you get that business. The second and third person that talk to them only has a 25% of getting that business. So that speed to lead is really important.
Yeah. Hey, and also I'll fill in the blanks too. As you grow your organization, one thing we believe in is somebody always needs to answer the phone, even if it's not you. We use a concierge service. So, if you call my phone right now, somebody's going to answer. In fact, if you call on Saturday at 4:00 in the morning, somebody's going to answer. It's not going to be me most likely. I'll probably be in bed, but somebody's going to answer. And the reason that we do that is because we want to make sure that our customers and our agent client base, they know, hey, we're always there to answer questions, and we're going to get back with that person as soon as possible. If we can't personally answer, somebody's going to answer, and somebody's going to get back to them really quick. So, if you want to talk about that, as you grow your business, how you can set up a concierge service like that, we'd love to share that with you as well. One thing we always love to touch on before we get going is because we know you got to get out there and do what you do. We like to touch on family a little bit. You've mentioned two things. We know you got a 15-year-old daughter. We also know your brother lives next to you on a farm. What's that like? Like, what's that family life like? I got to hear this.
It has to be awesome.
It's great. My husband's from Denver, Colorado. He was born there, lived in the small town outside of Denver, but he still lived in Denver. So for us to be able to live on the farm, our yard is 2.5 acres, and we have 400 acres that kind of wrap around us and my brother.
Tough life.
His house. And I know it's such a horrible rough life.
It's just
right?
terrible.
And it's hard because I also have two stepkids.
Yeah.
Caitlin is married to Brandon, and they have two children. Jacob's 4 and Emery is 4 months. And then I have Corbin, who is our middle child. He's 23, stepson, and he's married to Bailey. And then we have Mackenzie, who's my only, and she's 15. So between the three of us, we have 3 kids, and it's hard because we don't see the older 2 as much as we like.
Yeah.
But it's a different way of life here, and we absolutely love it. It's gorgeous. I wake up every morning. There's usually some kind of cattle right now in the distance because we're growing hay, so all the fields around us are being to pasture for hay. But it's fun. It's there's wildlife. We have turkeys. We have everything you can kind of imagine and enjoy. And yesterday I was showing a house and they looked out over the valley and it was super peaceful. There was a creek that ran underneath their house and they had someone else's cattle, but she's like, I could live here and just watch these people farm their cattle. And I was like, This is an awful view. Why would you want this? Because it was just absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And, you can have the view and you can kind of have it all here for, a fairly good price compared to a lot of the places in the country. My commute home is less than 5 minutes. And I'm in the middle of Mountain Home and I live on the outskirts. So it's rough. It's definitely a rough life and it
sounds like
everybody, but it is definitely for some people, and the people who do, they absolutely love it.
Yeah. That's great. That's great. Well, I love that. And I love that you get to experience that, especially, where you grew up. I can't even imagine, being able to wake up and this is where it all started. I'm still here. So congratulations to you for all your successes,
Thank you.
For everything that you're doing out there, and for all the people that you're helping and serving, even this podcast, right? I can tell you right now, you've had some great sparks here that when people hear this, especially people sometimes that are struggling, you're gonna help change some lives, right? And that's something that's really important to Dave and I. We always want to make sure that we're touching the hearts of others and helping them get better within their lives and their careers. So, thank you for being a part of that journey with us as well. We truly appreciate it, Morgan. Now, as much as we'd love to keep you here all day, we know you're busy and we want to get you back to doing the things that you do. Is there anything else we didn't cover today that maybe we should have talked about?
I don't really think so. I mean, I think I just want to kind of nail home the piece that I am the different agent, and I'm the different broker. I want to be there for my clients. I want to be there for my realtors, um, and figure out how to balance that life for them so they can be successful and so our clients can be successful in whatever route they choose in their, the real estate career.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Well, when the folks out there want to find you, and we know that they do. So Mountain Home, Arkansas, and surrounding areas, that's the communities you serve, or all Arkansas. You hit the whole state, or you pretty local to that market?
Legally, I can hit the whole state. I try to stay within about an hour and a half to 2 hour range just because it starts to get a lot of windshield time and you start to get out of markets that you don't fully understand. Yeah. And I don't work with those agents as often, but for that person, those people who knew me back in the day, you make a rapport and you're willing to go the little bit of extra mile.
That's right.
But I mean, ultimately, the North Central, about hour and a half outside of the Mountain Home piece, working on my Missouri license right now. So I'll be able to pop into Missouri, the southern piece of it at some point. Or have agents who want to be in that southern Missouri because it's only about 15 miles from here. 10 miles, it's not very far at all.
Well, we got you covered, Missouri. Just so you know, I don't know if you knew that, but Dave and our team is licensed in all 50 states. So, we're able to help folks out anywhere.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the way I try to stay. But again, you say that and then someone calls you and they're like, hey, I really want to go see this house. And you go, okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
And so you go.
You twisted my arm.
Okay.
I love it. Okay. Well, and how do they find you, right? What's the best way to get in touch with Morgan?
Probably the easiest way is a call or text my cell phone. That number is 870-404-3121. I do have a pretty good website. It's Remax based, but it's www.remaxtwinlakesar.com. Or Facebook as well, because that's the modern age where everybody's at. So I'm pretty active on Facebook as well. And it's the same thing, just at Remax Twin Lakes.
There it is, guys. So if you're watching this, you just saw that roll across the bottom of the screen. But if you happen to be listening, make sure you go over to the description and reach out to Morgan. You're going to get great service, amazing expertise, and somebody who truly is just a genius in this industry. So thank you so much, Morgan, for everything you bring to the table. Thank you for being different. We appreciate that here, and so do our followers. And thank you for taking the time to jump on the podcast with us today. It was a true honor to get to know you and learn more about your story.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate getting to spend some time with y'all today and talking about what I love and what I do.
Absolutely. Dave, anything you want to say to Morgan or to our followers before we wrap this one up today?
Yeah, you're looking for houses in Mountain Home or the Ozarks. I'm only calling one lady. That's Morgan Sparks. Looks like she can help you out. And she grew up there. So what better person to know the area? Call Morgan.
Right. Yeah, the roots. I love it. Yeah. I love it. Well, again, Morgan, thank you for joining the show. And guys and gals, we're your real estate success partners. I'm Devin Dubuc.
I'm David Wynn.
Hey, and if you want to check us out, come on over to realestatesuccesspartner.com. Again, that's realestatesuccesspartner.com. Or if you want to watch this one, and we love it when you watch them, come over to YouTube. You'll find us at the Dubuc team. You can also check us out on the Dubuc team at IG, Facebook, TikTok, all the big platforms. And, make sure you comment, subscribe. If you want to be on the show, we'd love to have you as a guest. And until the next one, we'll see you then.
Bye, guys.